It's almost universally true that people express this belief that their life is over. And that is true regardless of their marital age. Most of us will spend our life in but some people might face the end of their life as unfulfilled dreams but unattempted. Outcast titled Fear the Line with Owl, which struggled with and served with so much left. From the dying that create the life we want. There are very powerful cultural and systemic forces that work on all of us. Our gender, race, age, class, status, sexuality, all of those things. All the markers who make us who we are. They can corral us and limit us. Many of us may feel trapped by pressures to conform in various ways. We may worry about how we are perceived by others. Or perhaps we feel we need to keep up a certain kind of appearance. We might fear, or maybe it's not just fear, we may indeed receive judgment or ridicule or persecution for making an unpopular choice that runs against a cultural grain. All of these things are forms of cultural conditioning. They're intended to keep us in our place in the status quo. When we peel back those layers of conditioning, those things that don't agree with us. It helps us reveal our self. A lot of courage and a lot of strength to run against the cultural grain. And that is why our dying friends said, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. The second theme in the book is I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had worked so hard. Working for advantages of work, professional accomplishments, and the pursuit of wealth and stuff before human connection. Now, granted, adulthood does mean having responsibilities and doing things oftentimes you'd rather not do. Someone has to earn money and do chores and provide all the things needed to survive. Some people have to work multiple jobs to make those things happen and often still struggle to do so. So yes, there are things. But there are two things we can do to combat working too much. First, those of us who are fortunate enough to make choices, we can make choices that honor aspects of our lives other than work. For some of us, that might mean remembering the power of saying no. Just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should. And by the way, this doesn't apply to volunteering for church. I'm talking about other things, not volunteering at church. That's always good. If we find ourselves inclined to say yes to something, it might be worthwhile some of the time to pause and consider the reasons that we're saying yes. Will this put our time where it matters most? Is it something like affirming for me? Will it contribute to something positive? So that's one way we can combat working too much is adjust our choices and make choices that are less affirming to us. Second, we can also work at simplifying our lifestyle. When we simplify our lifestyle, we'll reduce our expenses and our needs and pressures to work so much. Capitalism has trained us to do the opposite, to either overspend and live far beyond your means, Or every time your economic situation improves, you're supposed to get more stuff or bigger stuff. But when we do the opposite, we just might discover that we truly do not need the income we think we do. And when we create more space, literally and figuratively in our lives, we may find that we've opened up new opportunities, opportunities that are more suited to who we are, who we want to be. That's why I'm saying, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. This was like a singing thing. I wish I could do something. This is like came from home where people thought in order to keep peace or avoid conflict. And some people even had felt illnesses related to the years of bitterness and resentment and anxiety that they carried, putting their emotional needs second. Now, it's very easy to rationalize that and convince ourselves we're making things better by ignoring how we feel, or not taking opportunity to express ourselves and get our needs met. But really, what we're doing is, at the best, settling for mediocrity, and at worst, potentially inviting in negativity and toxicity. And not just for ourselves, it'll happen to our relationships too. So we're not actually improving the lives of people around us when we're less. Now, that doesn't mean the solution to that problem is blurting out whatever we want, whenever we want. There is great wisdom in finding the right time and the right way of expressing ourselves. When we express our needs and our feelings actually lovingly, has the potential of improving our well-being and our relationships. Sure, those conversations are difficult.
Some of those situations might go poorly. You may even ruin a relationship. We can't control the reactions of others, but the potential also exists that lovingly voicing our feelings can raise a relationship to a higher level. It can free us of a toxic relationship if someone is unable or unwilling to handle what we say. That's why our dying friend said, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. The fourth theme, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. That's a very easy one to have happen, isn't it? The demands of daily life often force maintaining friendships lower on our to-do lists. Ware wrote that everyone misses their friends when they're dying. People often talked about getting their affairs and financial affairs in order, but she discovered that their interest in doing so was for the benefit of those they cared about. It wasn't for its own sake. So says Ware, it all comes down to love and relationships. That is all that remains in the final weeks. Love and relationships. So it's got a pretty easy solution. It's something any of us can do, reach out to a friend. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm going to issue that as a challenge to all of us. Let's each get in touch with a friend this month that we haven't talked with, or spent time with recently. This is why our dying friend said, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Our fifth theme, I wish that I had let myself be happier. I wish that I had let myself be happier. And did you catch the let there? Let myself be happier. Ware said this was a surprisingly common regret. That many people stayed stuck in the same old patterns and habits. And that was true of their emotional lives as well. So fearing change, they had pretended to themselves and to others that they were content and joyful. Many of the people Ware spoke with didn't realize until the end of their lives that happiness was a choice all along. Now, allow me to add what this is not saying, it's not saying simply be happy or turn your frown upside down. Our mental health or life circumstances don't always allow us to just be happy. But what this regret is communicating is that we need to give ourselves permission to change ourselves in fundamental ways that can potentially optimize our happiness. It's communicating that we should find the courage to deal with our baggage or our circumstances so that we can ultimately migrate to a place of greater happiness. Our dying friends are telling us we don't need to resign ourselves to self-medicating in various ways or putting off seeking help, or resigning ourselves to making peace at the expense of our own well-being. It's in that sense that happiness can be a choice. We can choose to seek a greater life and not compromise our own worth and joy. That's why our dying friend said, I wish I had let myself be happier. So I'd like to sum up today with 2 thoughts on what I think these 5 regrets all have in common. One common thread is that one of the common threads in these regrets is that having a life well lived means you need to be mindful and intentional. Passively existing is effortless. Anyone can just move from one day to the next, letting the time in your life accumulate into months and years and decades. Living well means being engaged in our own lives. It's about being active and purposeful about the choices we make. Now, that said, at the same time, please also remember to be gentle with ourselves. There's always good reasons why some things may not be possible for us. Since I was a kid, I always had a dream of playing stand-up bass and being in a rockabilly band. But I also have ADD, and learning an instrument and ADD don't go along the best. Now, if it was my life's #1 passion, maybe I'd find a way. But ultimately, I just had to make peace and be gentle with myself and say, hey, that's a fantasy. So stop beating yourself up that you haven't done it. It's okay to just let some things go too. We all work with some kind of limitations, and it's okay to be honest with ourselves about what possibilities we can listen, even as we strive to be more or be better. So that's the one common thread I see. It's about being mindful and being intentional. Keep us from being our best selves. On that podcast, encourages us to think about our fears and anxieties this way. So let's imagine that we summon our courage, we do a thing, and then when we did that thing we had been wanting to do, some of the fears we had and some of the anxieties we had, they become real. Maybe we're ridiculed or ostracized, or we lose a relationship, whatever it might be, where it says whatever pain we might experience from striving to live regret-free will pale in comparison to the anguish we get later when dying and struggling with our regrets. So the next time you find ourselves plagued by fears, anxieties, doubts, cultural conditioning, remember that time is a blessing. And guess what? It's a gift that's always decreasing. It will never increase. There's absolutely nothing we can do quantitatively. But we can all change what time we have qualitatively. So don't let fears, don't let anxieties rule us until they become regrets that we don't know about. I'm going to close with a quote from Mr. Francis Chan. It said, our greatest fear should not be failure, but of succeeding at things in life that don't really matter. Amen.
reading the book, I jotted down what I thought the 5 reasons or the 5 regrets would be. And I didn't come up with them quite the same way. But the one I was completely off base on was taking better care of myself in a physical basis, which I thought for sure would be one. And I do know that there's a quote that somebody said that if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Each week, of course, we take a morning offering and we share the plate with another organization or fund that goes along with UU values. This week, we're sharing the plate with the minister's discretionary fund. And what that is a separate fund in the budget set aside for the minister to use for special circumstances. Somebody in the congregation or the community needs special help, a car repair bill, or a health bill that comes through, needing heat in the winter, that kind of thing. The minister's discretionary fund can work for that. And I've never been destitute enough to need something like that, but it certainly is secure. Makes me feel a little better to know that there's something out there that might help if I need it. So maybe I will retire one of these days, Jerry. Jerry told me that I should retire now, but I do like what I do. So anyhow, now it is time for the morning off. Thank you.
Because we're not set up to take a physical offering this morning, Greg's going to play a short celebration of music, and the link that you usually use to donate online is available to you as usual. But enjoy the music. So the connection card is a tradition that we do here at All Souls, where you fill out a card that says, these are some things that are going on in my life. These are some opportunities for volunteer work or involvement that I would like to be a part of. And when you are all on Zoom, we usually send out a link in the chat, or it's available on the morning email that you get at 10 o'clock. But when you're in person and in Zoom, we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. Do we take part paper and part online? And so this morning, I'd like to scrap the connection card. And what I'd like to do is call on a religious tradition that I grew up with, which is, they used to call it the kiss of the believers, and this is not very COVID safe. So what I mean, no kissing, keep your masks on, but turn to the person next to you, and instead of writing down what's going on in your life and asking a staff member or a minister to contact you, turn to your neighbor and say, this is what's happening in my life. This is what I had for breakfast. I overcooked the eggs this morning. And Greg is going to play a little music while we do that, and that will be our time for connection. No cards, or calling on my Mennonite roots and ignoring the Unitarian ones. So talk to each other. Good morning again. I feel like I have talked a lot this morning, particularly for someone whose role it is to listen. Primarily, I've done a lot of talking this morning. Thank you all for being with us here this morning. We're going to move into some brief announcements. I do want to say a brief word on the minister's discretionary fund, and how it's kind of a clunky, very formal word for being. Sorry. I had just bought a house, just left my marriage for 7 years, just working in a vegan kitchen for peanuts. And my total income was probably like expenditure. I never did anything except like pay repairs, about 1,200. So I'm not great at math, but that math doesn't add up. And so I also had a car accident around that time. Very quietly, Reverend Anastasia just said, there's this fund, we call it the Minister's Discretionary Fund. It sounds like you need some discretion. Here's the check for fixing your car. And if any of you have seen my car, it's held together with twist ties, quite literally. But it's held together with twist ties that the Minister's Discretionary Fund paid for. So it is an important fund, and one thing that I like about it is that it gives people dignity. Nobody knows about it. You don't have to make a petition or a request, and it makes you feel seen because someone says, I see you. I see brokenness or need in your life, and this community is here to meet it. Some announcements. If a community garden needs help, needs help from me, and it needs help from you. So if you are interested in a garden bed, Sarah Ken and I's plan is basically like, we will buy the seedlings, we will help you get started. What I need is for people to sign up and say, I'd like a bed, or I'd like to share a bed with somebody, and then we'll just assign beds. Okay. God, you guys are worse than the 18-year-olds I used to teach. No kissing of the believers. This is not COVID friendly. Okay, so garden beds. If you'd like to plant a garden bed with myself or with someone else, please send me an email. You all know my email at this point. It's in the order of service. That's an opportunity to do that. We'd like to have a harvest meal at the end of the season where we harvest some things from the garden and some things we make together and have an outdoor meal together. Greg always makes fun of my Earth Mother Goddess mentality, but it would make my heart joyful if we could do that. So please sign up for garden beds. The other announcement is if you have anything that you're passionate about, anything you know a lot about, please come contact me if you want to do an adult forum about this. So August 1st, Alan Schmidt will be leading the adult forum about something he's passionate about. To kind of fill out the calendar for the year. So do you do underwater basket weaving and feel that this is meaningful to your life? Other people might find that interesting. Are you a former sous chef? Talk to me about that. This is part of what we do as a community, is share our passions and our values. For a congregation with deep humanist roots, there's a lot of very interesting people in this congregation. For example, I loved hearing about the Wentz and Mrs. Wentz work as a graduate student as an ethnomusicologist, and we chatted in French for a while, and that was very meaningful to me. So if you have any hidden delight in your life, I'd love for you to share that. Contact me, and my email's in the order of service.
Our content today was admittedly heavy, mortality, regret. However, the overall message is one of hope. All of us, no matter our age and at all points in life, can change the quality of our life, even if we're unable to change the quantity of our life. So I think we could probably sum up the overall message in one 2-letter word: do. Whatever it is that you want to do, do it. So as we enter our normal lives, return to our normal lives this week, it's my wish for you all that you find a way to live less with less regret and more
Looking back on when I was looking at the head. In my own way, what's the what could be matter? Oh, even though it's sometimes.
Hi, everyone on Zoom. Because we're having such terrible connection problems, we're not going to be having the coffee hour. Apologies. Have a great day. Thank you.